What's going on, everybody? My name's Giraffe Anatomy. I'm just the little dude in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And today we are going over a quick god guide for Artio. Um, so basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into jungle practice with you guys. We're going to go and learn a little bit about Artio, her abilities, kind of how to utilize them in a game mode. So hopefully by the end of this video, you're able to take Artio into an arena, conquest, slash joust, any kind of game mode, and sort of know how to utilize her kit, how to play her well, and yeah, maybe learn something by the end of this video. Really quick, just want to preface this. Um, I don't play Artio that much. I know enough about her, but I don't know any super deep like tips or tricks about her. I do know her basic kit, kind of how to use her abilities and how to rotate through them and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll just be able to give you like a nice basic overview of what her abilities do, how to utilize them. But if you want somebody that's like masterful at Artio, I recommend there's some solo players that play her very, very well, which you'll see her played in solo lane a lot. There are some really good support players out there you can find videos for just to find those really deep like tips or tricks on how to play her and everything. So let's go over Artio basically as a class. So Artio is categorized as a guardian, which means she is a magical non-ranged character. Really sad because with her staff and the way she does her auto animations, it feels like something should be coming out of there and she should be doing ranged damage, but no, she is a guardian, so she only has this range right here that you'll see. Basically up until that point she will hit them with her autos once you get within short range of her. So Artio is a guardian, and you will see her as a support, but you will also see her in solo lane. So she can flex between the two roles, and she does the best in those roles. So you'll probably play her in one of those two. And as a guardian, she basically has a lot of utility, a lot of CC in her kit, a lot of great things. And one other thing about her is she's a stance swisher. So Artio is able to, and let me level everything up to 20 here. With Artio's ultimate ability, you are able to shapeshift. So she's going to have 3 abilities here, plus the ability to switch between her 2 modes. Her one is her Druid mode, that's her normal human mode, and then her bear mode. So I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. This is what Artio looks like in bear form. And let me just buy some things here. So this is Artio in bear form, right? And then when you press her ultimate key again, she will go back to Druid form. Now, she has abilities in her Druid form, and when she turns to her bear, those abilities change, and what they do change. So what we'll do is we're going to stay as the Druid for now. We're going to go through all 3 of her Druid abilities. Then we'll go into the bear form, go through all 3 of those abilities. Then we'll talk about how we can combo them together, because you can do an ability in Druid, switch to bear form, do an ability as a bear, switch back to Druid, do an ability, right? You can switch back and forth. You can get really creative on how to use her because her kit has like a lot of CCs, stuns, those sorts of things. You can kind of always keep pestering somebody. Artio really, really shines basically as like a stick to you CC monster in the team fight. So you're able to go on squishies or jungles and really make their life like a living hell. Basically, you're able to like stun them, keep up to pace with her dash with them. You're able to root them, cripple them. Like there's all kinds of things that Artio can do. So without further ado, let's start with her passive. Right, her passive is Decompose. So enemy gods hit by Artio's Druid or Bear damaging abilities will begin to decompose. This effect decreases their physical and magical protections. This effect stacks. So it has to be her damaging abilities that will add the stacks, right? And then for each stack, you're doing 2% debuff. So that's magical and physical protection. So this is why she's such a good support. Because if you're attacking like even like a support character on the other team or a solo or something like that, you're going to be shredding away their protections, which will enable your squishies like your mage and your ADC to do more damage to them throughout the fights and stuff like that. It's also, she's really good as a solo because you're in people's face, you're like kind of engaging and starting those attacks, so she's able to do a lot of damage to people just with her passive built in here. So let's start with her first ability in her Druid form. So Druid, Artio pulses out a strong wave of energy that damages enemies. She will heal herself and allies within 65 units for each enemy god hit by this ability. So just to show you what it looks almost like a cone. It's like a big fan type ability. And if you hit an enemy god with it, you will get healing back, right? So there's the damage that's being done, and then there's the druid heal, right? And then for each, you could do it to multiple enemies, right? For each enemy god hit by this ability, she heals herself and her allies. So you can actually get multiple people in here. You'll get big chunks of healing back when you're able to do that. When you're able to hit multiple enemies, you'll get a bigger chunk of healing back. So that's the basics of her one, right? It's pretty simple. You smack somebody, do some damage, you get healing back. It's a really good tool to utilize. And it's good for like clearing wave and stuff too. It's like a nice wide sweeping thing, so you can get a lot of minions in it. Let's talk about her 2 in her druid form. Artio creates a thicket of vines around herself that cripples enemy gods and decreases their magical or physical protection as long as they are in the area. So, really quick, this ability right here, this is what it looks like. When you use this, it will last for 6 seconds, and it is persistent around Artio, even if she switches forms. So you can basically utilize this, and even switch to your bear form, and switch back, and it will stay for those 6 seconds, right? While this ability is going on, enemy gods around you are crippled. This is a great tool to utilize to get up into some god's face and make sure that they can't get away from you. Even fighting in solo lane, if Artio is up against somebody like a Hercules, this cripples him and he can't use his dash, right? His dash that he like smacks you with and stuns you with. He can't use that anymore. So if you have this ability active, you're literally taking an ability away from Hercules that he can't use, right? If you're good at timing it, if he uses his 2 and you pop this, he won't be able to 1 you away, right? So basically, it's a really good tool. Gods with movement abilities, you're able to really hamper with this. And then you'll see later on when we start comboing with her, you can pop this. And while you're popping this, you can use your 1. You can switch to another form. You know, you can start attacking and using other abilities while this thing's going on the whole time, right? So this entire time, they're not able to get away from you as long as you're right next to them and you have them within that circle. Also, it's really good because your teammates can jump on them in that time too. So you're basically just like a walking cripple for 6 seconds. Really good. Artio's a really annoying support to deal with if you're on the enemy team. A really great support to have because of this tool. So let's talk about her 3rd ability in her druid form called Life Tap. Druid form, Artio channels for 2 seconds, draining the life from enemies. While channeling, she deals damage up to 5 times and heals herself up to 5 times. Each hit increasingly slows enemies, and enemies hit all 5 times are rooted for 1 second. So really quick, this is the line ability that it looks like. If you hit them, 2, 3, 4, 5, see how there's 5 ticks there? They get that short stun duration, right? So it will only stun them for a short while at the end there. But it is good, right? They're rooted. Technically, they're not stunned. They're rooted. So they can still like auto attack and stuff like that, but they can't move for like that quick second, right? But you have to hit them with all 5 ticks. If you miss a tick, they won't get rooted. They're just walking away, right? But each time you're doing it, you're doing damage to them, and you're healing yourself per hit as well. And you're slowing them the whole time that you're doing it as well. So if you notice, Odin goes a little bit slower when I do this. And I'll show you one more time. Notice how he gets slower and slower as I hit him, right? So it's a really great chase down tool. You're able to chase people down with it. It has a really long range, so even when they're away from you, right, you can pop your 3 and chase after them, and you will be closing the distance, and they will be getting slower and slower while you do it. You can also hit multiple enemies with it, right? If they're all grouped up or within a line, you can hit both of them. And if you hit both with all 5, they will both get that quick root, right? So you're able to root them with that this ability, which is a good ability. And like I said before, use it for chase down when you're chasing them down. You start with your 3 a lot of the times, or your 3 is your poke because you're able to do it from kind of far away. So I would engage with this ability a lot, right? You're starting it, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's get them within the cripple. All right, we're going to do the damage to them, be autoing, right? That's kind of how you start the engagement. You slow them down with those ticks. You're focusing in on your prey. As they're getting slower, you're closing the distance. You can pop your 2, which basically makes them cripple. They can't get out. They're stuck there. They can only use their natural movement speed to get away from you when you're doing that. And then yeah, and then you can start smacking them with your energy surge. So let's talk about her abilities, but in her bear form. Now I'm gonna say her ultimate, like, we don't really need to go over it too much. You basically just shapeshift between the two. You do have a passive with this, which is every time Artio hits at least one enemy with an ability, she gains 1 stack of invigoration. Invigoration stacks increase her movement speed and her MB5, and they last up to 6 seconds and stack up to 8 times. So this does like add as like a passive, but obviously the main thing between this is you are just switching the positions, right? So if you press your 1, you can do your 2, you can switch. Now we're going to talk about her bear form, right? So now that he's in her bear form, and you can see the shapeshift passive when it comes up and when it's active, right? And then, by the way, in case you didn't know, here on the left, this is counting down the cooldowns for the abilities, because you can basically pop this every second between Artio. This is just going to show you, right, the cooldowns that are happening on the other side of this, right? So in her Druid form, these are her cooldowns that you can keep track of, right? So you know, oh, my 1 is up on cooldown. I could switch back, smack them with my 1 again. Now I can go back to my bear form, right? I'm going to do like my bear 1, right? Oh, my Druid 3 is up. Let's do that again. Now I can switch. I know that this is up again. And look, oh, my 1's up too. Oh, sorry. 1's up too. I can switch back. Oh, my 1 for my bear is up. I can switch back, right? So that's how you utilize this. But let's go through her bear abilities. I know it might have been a little overwhelming there. We'll get there, right? So her first ability in bear is called Maul Prey. Bear form. Artio slashes twice with her claws, damaging enemies with each swipe. So basically, in the bear form, you're basically just doing damage per swipe, right? If they're in this cone, it looks exactly the same. It's basically the same size no matter what form you're in, but you swipe them twice. 1, 2. It's a damaging ability. There's really nothing else to it but that. As you can see in her 1, it's about the same size. So you should just kind of have like the same sort of like, oh, like it's the same sort of ability, same sort of range. You're fine. Let's talk about Artio's 2. So Artio's 2 is called Ferocious Roar. In her bear form, Artio lets out a ferocious roar that stuns all enemies nearby and increases her own physical and magical protections for 4 seconds. So basically what she's going to do is, it's the same circle size. You're noticing a pattern, right? It's the same circle size as her cripple in her druid form. In her bear form, it's the same size, but when you have somebody within it, they're stunned for that duration. And I believe the duration is 1.4 seconds fully maxed. It starts at 1, goes to 1.4 when it's fully maxed. So this enables you basically to stun somebody for a few seconds, get some damage off, have your teammates get some damage off them, right? Like I said before, you're noticing Artio has a lot of CC things in her kit, so you're able to constantly be doing damage with her, especially if you build cooldown. You should be able to just be rotating through her abilities a lot of the times. Everything. So let's talk about her 3 real quick. Heavy charge, and then we'll get through all her abilities, how to utilize them, how to kind of do some combos between them. So heavy charge, bear form. Artio charges forward at an increased movement speed for 3 seconds. Enemies she charges through take damage and are slowed for 2 seconds. So this is, oh, my bad. This is what it looks like. And this is a great chase down and escape tool. Artio charges basically for that full line, and she actually charges a little bit past it, right? This enables you to chase targets down, especially if you hit them and knock them up through it. They start getting slowed. It enables you to escape as Artio, right? You're able to really get really far away with this, and especially if you're going through somebody to get away, they're slowed. You like, look at the distance you covered when you slowed them, and then you're charging away, right? So it's a really great technique to be able to use for either chase down or escaping. So yeah, so that is all her abilities, right? You basically don't have anything besides that, right? You get the bear slow, which is 30% when it's fully max, which is good, right? If you do knock somebody up, they are slowed a lot, right? They're not moving very fast, and it lasts quite a while too. I believe it's like 2 seconds or something they're slowed for. So you're able to do that, and it does damage, which is nice. So Artio's key focus is basically how well can you switch between these abilities, and then what are sort of like the combinations you can do between them, right? So like I said, basically every second you can switch between your forms with no cooldown. So it's going to be all about how you're utilizing this, how you're kind of combining them together. Like I said before, you're probably going to start an engagement, depending on what you're doing, with either life tap or your heavy charge, right? You notice basically figuring out what kind of scenario you're in first is going to determine which one you're going to use. If it's just them and they're already at half health, sure, you can start with your heavy charge and get in real close real fast. But what you'll do is you'll do something like this, right click to cancel it, use their 2, swipe between them. Okay, now cripple them so they can't get away. Use your Druid strike as they're trying to get away. Maybe you slow them down with your 3, right? And then you're coming back up. You're switching back to your other form at that time, and then obviously your abilities are on cooldown, but you're waiting for another rotation, right? You can start a fight like that. If it might get a little hairy and you want to save your 3 for your escape, sometimes it's a good idea to start all your fights, like I said, start your engagement with your 3. Now you're closing the gap. You pop your 2, your 1, you're able to switch to bear form, do this, stun them, right? If they start to get away, chase them down with your 3, right? And then by that time you switch back, you're starting with these other abilities. So really quick, to show you how to utilize these better, this is Artio with no items, nothing. Let's talk about items a little bit. Let's build her a little bit, and we're going to build some cooldown on her so I can show you what it looks like at 40% cooldown to use these types of abilities. Also, really quick, if you are getting chased down very quickly with the bear, just using your 2 to stun and like 3 to run away, this is your main like disengage tactic, right? You're going to stun somebody that comes in close to you, that starts like ganking you or starts doing damage to you. You're going to use your 2 to stun them. You're going to use your 3 to run away, preferably run through them to run away, right? Because you're going to apply that slow to them. It'll be even harder for them to catch up. But Odin comes to gank you up, run away, run through the Odin, run away if you can, right? So Artio's whole positioning is like this thing where you kind of want to be able to use your ability and go through them with the 3 sometimes, to disengage, run away, run back under your tower when you need to. So a lot of fighting is like positioning how to get around them and that kind of thing too. So let's start with what Artio will buy. So if you're playing Artio in support, it's perfectly fine to get something like a Sentinel's Gift to start with. She doesn't auto as much. Like a Sentinel's Gift and a Benevolence are okay starters for Artio. I would say that's kind of like the bread and butter. One thing you can do in solo lane, though, you can start with Vampiric Shroud, and she really utilizes this very well, because with Vampiric Shroud, getting that extra lifesteal, Artio might like to build a little bit of lifesteal healer if you're a solo laner, just because you do healing in basically your 1 here in your Druid form and your 3 here in your Druid form. So with just these 2 abilities, you can heal yourself a lot in the middle of team fights. So building something like a Vampiric Shroud is a very good item for her to start with when you start laning with her. But your bread and butter in solo is going to be something like this, right? Like a Sentinel's Gift. As a support, Sentinel's Gift. And then you can build things like, it'll probably be a Gauntlet of Thebes, and then you can do something like Breastplate to get that 20% cooldown on her. Some people don't like this. Some people are like, oh, go Sovereignty or whatever. But I think the utilization of all the things in her kit, if you're able to build a Breastplate for her, so I'll actually go to Breastplate, and I'll just do the regular Breastplate. With a 20% cooldown, getting all of these abilities rotating and getting Artio to 40% cooldown will be so much more of a use for your team, being able to use this many abilities, having some mana to use them. With just 20% cooldown, you can see, right? Okay, I'm going to start engaging him. I'm going to do this. All right, I'm going to do that. Switch over to here. Bear form. I'm going to stun him real quick. Auto. Let's 3 through him. Let's switch back around now, right? And my abilities are almost back up again, right? And I can start smacking away once again. And this is just 20% cooldown with her abilities. You're basically like a menace. Like, it's really hard for gods to get away from you. And if they do start creating some distance, right, you can very easily catch back up with your 3, get back into the game, right? Chase them down with your Druid 3. Like those are your catch back up tools, right? With both of these. So just to show you, I will get another. Let's do items like Witchblade is a good utility item. Like a Mantle Discord isn't bad, and at this point you have 40% cooldown on your abilities. So you can start with your 1, your 2. Let's do this. Switch back to her Druid form, slow them down with her 3. Alright, once we got the stun with the 3, okay, now we're up here. We're going to do this. We're going to stun them. We'll slow them with that. I know my cripple's back up. Now that my cripple's back up, I'm autoing them while I cripple them. Okay, this is back up. I can do this with my 3, right? Just her rotation of abilities that she can do here. And knowing like, hey, I can stun them. I think he's starting to literally get affected by DR, which is diminishing returns at this point. But you could see with 40% cooldown, what an onslaught it is, right? Like you with the 20% for these and the 10% cooldown on each of these, like her abilities are almost on an endless rotation, right? So just remember, like things like when you have the cripple here, it's going to be hard for them to like get away from you, right? So you can auto them while the cripple's going. If they start distancing you, use your 3 on either form, right? That's how you kind of close back in. Your 2 is to stun them just for a little while to make sure you can confirm like either one on either form. Cripple, basically come over to the Druid form and pop this as often as you possibly can, right? Wait for it to go on cooldown. Smack them. Okay, stun them. Hit them with the bear form. I'm going to do this again. Is Cripple up yet? Okay, Cripple's going to be up here in a second. Smack them with this, right? These are like your basic rotations that you can do with them, and you're just in their face. Artio can be built really tanky and just be doing consistent damage to people. This, like I said, is more of a support build that I have here. If you want, you can do something more like if you're going solo, I would still recommend something like a breastplate. It depends on who you're versing, but you can start like Vampiric Shroud and breastplate on her. So let's do this. Vampiric Shroud. And then breastplate. You can start breastplate on her. So Vampiric Shroud and breastplate if you're versing another physical god in solo lane. This will start giving you the cooldown. Vampiric Shroud, you'll do that extra healing to them, right? Like whenever you do this, your healing numbers will be really good. Her 3, you're going to be getting healing off of this as well. So Vampiric Shroud is utilized very well with her. And then you can go things like a Void Stone wouldn't be too bad because you're also getting magical protection. Plus, you're reducing their magical protection, so you're going to be doing more damage to them. Something like this would be good. You could also do, if you want like a power item at this point, you can get something like a Bancroft's. Like she'll utilize a healing item like a Bancroft's very well. If your team has like good healing and lifesteal and stuff, you can get a Pythags piece because it will not only affect your magical lifesteal, but if you have like an Anubis on your team or something, it will also bolster his magical lifesteal, and it's going to give you cooldown, right? So you can utilize something like Pythags if you want to be team oriented in solo lane and stuff like that. And then you can build more defense, right? You can build other things like if they do have like a lot of healing, you need to go anti-heal. One other starter you can go with her is Tainted Steel. It's actually like pretty good. If you don't want to go Vampiric Shroud in solo lane, you can go Tainted Steel on her and upgrade to either like the amulet or the breastplate, depending on like the situation. Amulet if you just want some more power and they don't have a ton of healing on them, or Tainted Breastplate if you want to make sure they don't do like any healing. Pair this with like a Pestilence and they're not going to heal anything at all. But Pythags, Vampiric Shroud, these will go well together. You're going to build some defense in here a little bit too. Maybe build like something a little more hybrid-y. Like any of the robes will do like really well on her because you'll be tanky, and then you'll build a little bit of cooldown if you're doing like something like Spirit Robe or even like a Mantle of Discord. She does work well with things like Ethereal Staff you can build on her. It's going to give her a lot of health. You're going to be able to steal health and mana from your enemies and all that stuff with Ethereal Staff. So an item like this would be good on her. as well. And then try and get to that cooldown cap, right? Like, so right now I have the 10% with Pythags. I have the 10% with Breastplate of Valor. If I'm looking at my stats, right, maybe my magic defense is a little bit low. So for my last item, I might want to go something that's magical defense, that has the cooldown that I want on it. So you can get something like, I mean, a Winged Blade would be fine, or something even more robust like Genji's Guard. If you want to be team oriented, get like a Shogun's, that would be good too. You're getting the 10% cooldown. You're going to add attack speed to any sort of ADCs or attack speed jungles that you have in the area. So any of these would be fine as well. But yeah, if you can get that 40%, so now I'm at 168 protections, 182. Plus I have my Vampiric Shroud. Plus I have, you know, like Pythags and stuff. I'll be able to do a lot of healing, a lot of damage. This is like a very decent like hybrid build on her, that you can do. Stun, 1, right, 3 up. You're chunking. You're doing some numbers. Like the Pythags really isn't going to be good for you until you get that Bancroft or that Vampiric Shroud fully built. You're probably going to do something like Blood-Soaked Shroud. So damaging an enemy with an ability restores 1.5% health and mana. This is basically going to be what you upgrade at the end of the game. And yeah, this is the basics of Artio, man. This is what you want to be doing. Like I said, you can use your 2. Unfortunately, Guan, you know, can't be stunned out of that stuff. But yeah, you're basically rotating your abilities. Look, my 1's up already. Right, my 3's about to be up. Start it with my 3. Like, he's not really able to touch me too much. I'll cripple him. Hit him with my 1. Switch over to Bear. Let's stun him out of that. Let's do my 1. Okay, apply that slow to him. By that time, it looks like I can distance myself a little bit with this. 5. Hit him with my 1 again. Right, you're able to really do a lot of damage. You're able to hinder people a lot with the cripple. They're not able to dash you at that time, right? Guan has a dash. Switch back. Hit him with my 1. 3, 4, 5. There we go. I'm going to wait for this to come back up. So he's crippled. 3 through him. Stun him. 1, 2. There. Right? That's basically how you use his abilities. Or her abilities. Like I said before, if they have a lot of anti-heal, you can grab something like a Pestilence and a Tainted Steel. You'll be nixing the anti-heal from him if you do that. So yeah. So that's about it. That's really all I have on Artio. If you guys have any other questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment below, and see if there's anything I missed or if there's something you wanted to add to the guide. Also, if you haven't already, join the Discord in the link below. We basically play games all the time. We teach people how to play Conquest. We basically teach people how to build. It's like a really great community. We're like super non-toxic. We really don't care like if you're new, returning, anything like that. Like, we're here to help. We're here to just play the game together and enjoy it, and hopefully teach you guys something, like help you guys learn about certain gods and builds that you want to do and stuff like that. So always feel free to do that and join us sometime. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time.